What number is this? 28. BramRadio podcast. Hey, thanks for being here today. Once again, thank you, Emrod, for that amazing music. Everybody loves it. And I want to take a minute to just, hey, if you have a neighbor who is on the other side of the aisle politically, he's a liberal, he's a conservative, she's a liberal, she's a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, whatever. One of the things that we're dealing with right now, more than anything else in this country, I mean more than the economy, more than the border, more than you can name any political topic that has been happening over the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. 4 years. The biggest thing that we have in this country that is a problem is the divide. We are splitting right down the middle, and there is such a small amount of glue holding those chasm creases together, because we can't wait to throw rocks at the other side. We can't wait to make fun of the other side. We can't wait to create a meme. We can't wait to laugh at a meme. And I get it. They're funny. I mean, funny. I get it. I laugh at them too, because a lot of them are great. But I have neighbors where I live. I have neighbors on both sides of me that are on the political opposite side of the spectrum. Yet they're some of my most favorite people to talk to, because there's more stuff that we have in common than stuff that is going to press us apart. And when you start focusing, when you shift your focus into the area of where you're going to find a common ground, where you're going to be able to find something that you can stand together and face the same direction on, it's going to change the dynamics of your relationship, and it's going to change it dynamically. So if you can do that, and I mean across the board, it's going to start with you, dude. It's going to start with you. And I get it, man. You're dyed-in-the-wool, hard charging, red as it gets, and you got a gun in the back window of your pickup truck if you don't live in California, and you're that guy. Cool. Well, it's not always a bad idea to start to look at things from a different perspective and understand that somebody else's perspective means a lot to them. Doesn't mean that they should get discounted and thrown out. The whole baby getting thrown out with a bathwater concept. Sometimes it just means, I get it, we're not going to agree on that, but there's going to be something that we're going to agree on. Maybe that's our main topic of conversation. Maybe that's where we start. This little issue that we have in our country you got to start dealing with it. You got to start dealing it from where you are. I'm off my soapbox. But hey, today's special for me. I met this dude, man, 22 years ago-ish. Our kids were babies together. Wives were hanging out together. One of us was in buds. The other one had just finished his third platoon. And ever since then, we have, me and this guy, we went a long time without talking. Then about 10 years ago. 10 years ago? 8
Yeah, I think so. Whenever you got your liver cut out.
Yeah. 7 years ago. I forget what it is. We reconnected and started hanging out again. And this guy here is single-handedly responsible for my jiu-jitsu addiction, because after I had my liver surgery, I walked into Victory MMA, which if you're anywhere near San Diego and you need a place to train, that's where you want to go. I went and tried a boxing class because I didn't know. And I was so tired and wore out. It was my first time doing any semblance of fitness, and since having the surgery. And I was over there holding the water fountain up, and this guy comes down the stairs and he said, "Hey man, what are you doing here?" I was like, "I'm water. I'm air. I'm drinking. I don't know." He's like, "Dude, work yourself, buddy. Hey, when you're ready, the men train upstairs." because that's where the jiu-jitsu is. Ever since then, it's been jiu-jitsu. And that has literally changed my life. My passion for jiu-jitsu has gone through the roof. But I love this guy, one of my best friends on this planet. I cannot wait for you to hear what he has to say. Everybody welcome Mr. Jimmy May. Woo!
All two of us.
I know today Sam's not here today. There's some we've had like 3 or 4 people in here when we have some, so it gets like loud in here. It's like, wow, cool. But Zach claps really loud, so we're able to make up for it other ways. But Jimmy, man, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was honored you asked me 2 days ago.
Yeah, I do everything with long lead times and proper planning.
Yep.
So that we can make sure that everything runs absolutely 100% smooth and on a timeline.
And it worked out perfect.
Yep. In his mind right now, he's going to be determined. That's on the reel in the back of his mind. But man, so Jimmy, you have had so you just recently retired from the military.
Yeah, I retired in January of 2023.
But you started off enlisted.
Correct.
So you're a very interesting story militarily because of where you started. I would say the normal person could not predict where they could end up. But I think that for you, knowing you and your personality, you were probably like, no, I'm gonna retire at this rank. I'm gonna retire doing this job, and I'm gonna retire having done these things in my career. But you started off as something completely different.
Yeah, I was in nuclear power. I was a nuclear machinist mate enlisted. Yeah, which not a lot of people know about the nuclear power, but they do now because that's kind of like the nerds of the Navy.
Yeah.
That's where I was.
Those are the people that ace the ASVAB. That's where they go.
I actually did. I know that academic excellence is not normally thought of with me, but I did ace the ASVAB.
Yeah. And then you went to nuclear power, but then and I remember I was asking you once about the people that go to nuclear power.
Yeah, I didn't fit in there.
And because I asked you, I'm like, how did that go?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, they were super smart. I really struggled in that school. Like I had to study like crazy, and you can't take your books home because it's like it's not super secrety, but it's kind of like confidentially enough where you can't take it home and study on your own. So you got to log your study hours, and they put you on like mandatory hours. But I studied so much on my own, they put me on voluntary hours. So like he just does what he's supposed to do. So I didn't do super well. I had like a 3.1 GPA, but I didn't like it, but you can't quit. You know what I mean? I didn't like it, but I was on at Daytona Beach one time, and I was trying to fix some lady's car because she broke down on the side of the road. No big deal. It was just like the intake manifold between the upper radiator hose and the intake manifold. It was the gasket. I bought a cut of gasket, throw it in there. She gave me money for pizza. I thought it was fair. Turned out to be the commanding officer's wife of my command, and she wrote me up. She told him, and he wrote me up for a really nice, not a huge award, but he's like, hey, what can I do for you? I'm like, well, I have an officer package in, but my SATs aren't that great. So he goes, give it to me. Boom. Turn around, and next thing you know, I got a scholarship to go to school. Yeah.
Wow.
That was how I got out.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? That you never know. You never know who you're doing something for, who you're blessing, who you're being a I mean, it's just not to kill it, but the knight in shining armor, or just being that dude when you show up on the scene, and you never know. That is super cool.
Yeah, worked out.
I never heard that story before.
Yeah, I know it got me. That's why I got to college, because I didn't have great grades, and guys were way higher than I was, but it just worked out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. All right. So then, while you were active duty, you went to school?
Well, back then you didn't. So they gave you a DD-214. You actually went off active duty. They stopped that because they can't control you when you're off active duty. So
right.
I was off active duty, but I got $150 a month stipend, and they paid for my college. But I didn't. They wanted me to go to engineering, but I didn't want to do that. And so I changed my major. I was in construction, and then I ended up getting in a lot of trouble. I know it's hard for you to imagine.
I can't imagine.
I got in a lot of trouble in college. I got thrown out of my ROTC department, and then the colonel, named Colonel Socklavin, was a Marine, and he always liked me. I don't know why. He just always liked me. And I ran their like ROTC Ironman stuff. I usually did real well on those. I had good grades, but I also didn't get along with my upperclassmen yelling at me. I got in fights with them. I tore up their bedroom once. One of my upperclassmen, I tore his room up because they tore my room up, and I was just angry. And he pulled me aside, and he's like, you know what? Actually, I got in trouble for the last thing I did. I got rolled up for, I was digging the golf balls out of the pond with the golf course, and it was like knee deep. And I'm digging them out, and I sell them back to Pro Shop for $0.25 a piece because my daughter was born, and I was trying to like make ends meet. And there's this nutria, which is like this giant rat, and it was swimming across. And I remember I took out trash cans, and I scooped that thing up, and you know how mean those things are.
Oh yeah,
they got red teeth, and they're it's probably like a 12-pound pissed off rat.
Right.
And so at the end of my day, when I turned my stuff in, I'm like, what do I do with this rat? And I decided, it was a room about the size of this, and I decided to like shake it up. And there was has to be a freshman, junior, senior in there answering phones. And I like shook that thing up, and I hucked that nutria in there with those students. It was so funny, dude. It was hilarious. They were like, they jumped over. They didn't get hurt, but the thing was pissed off. It was like teeth everywhere. And, I mean, they were scary. Anyway, so then I'm almost to where I got thrown out. So now I get this restricted weekend, which means you got to check in at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning. The whole weekend, that's what you do, in uniform. And like any good future frogman, I'm tilting a few back, I'm drinking. Right. I decide that when I check in at the desk, it's like a nipple-level desk. So I'm like, well, I don't got to wear my pants. Like, I'll just save some tops. I just like put the grandpa straps that hold my shirt to my socks, and I go walking across, and I'm signing in, and they're like, you're drunk. I'm like, no, I'm not, and I'm laughing. I go walking out, and of course, my butt's sticking out, and I didn't have my pants on. So that was kind of the last straw for me. And the colonel, who I actually called like last year. I just got his number. I wanted to thank him, And he's like, Jimmy, like, no more Corps cadets for you. He's like, you just finish up, and you've got good grades. I think you're going to be good, but we just don't need you involved with this anymore. So, yeah, I kind of got thrown out.
Then came back in?
I came back in. I got a slot to Buds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have to do the OCS thing?
No, I didn't, because I went to boot camp. I was enlisted. Right. You don't have to do that if you already got the NDOC. And so so my grades were okay, but it's really hard to get a slot as an O. So I was just planning on enlisting anyway. I didn't think, I'm like, I'll just go back enlisted. I don't care. Yeah. And I went to this thing called Mini Buds, which was like 2 weeks. It's a month long, but it's like 2 weeks of like basically a beat down, and then you do 2 weeks with the SEAL team.
Did you leave with a garbage bag full of dive socks?
No, I did not. Those things you would wear once anyway, because back then they'd shrink up and you're never putting that back on.
Yeah, you wear them once. They're wear once to throw away.
Yeah.
Every time Mini Buzz was there, everybody's like, hide your dive socks.
Yeah. Anyway, I did real well there, and I finished as the top guy there. So the top 3 of us got letters, and so that's how I got into slot to Buds. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Went through Buds.
Yeah, during 9/11.
During 9/11, that's right.
Yep.
I remember when 9/11 happened. Everybody knows where they were.
Yeah.
So that happened while you were.
I was at the Chow Hall about to do a 4-mile time run in the second week of first phase, pre-hell week.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was at home just getting up, and I was on the phone with Johnny Hoffman.
That guy was a stud back in the day.
Yeah. He was my chief on the jump team at the time. And I was on the phone with him. In fact, I was on the phone with him when the second airplane hit the building. And if you know Johnny, you can imagine what he said when it hit the building.
Yeah.
And it was quite flowery, and calm and soft.
Yeah, like Johnny.
Yeah, like we're the opposite of all those things. And they shut the base down.
Yeah.
And that's why I called Johnny back, and he's like, "Hey, no one's going to work." I'm like, I got like 9 reserves I have to repack. And he was like, at your own peril. So I was like, got on my skateboard. I lived in Coronado at the time.
Yeah.
I cruised down to the team area.
Yeah.
I mean, back then there wasn't really a gate guard and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I scooted in there. I went down to the team area, was packing reserves, and I was leaving. Well, there was gate guards there then. Yep. No one was allowed to come. No one was leaving.
They had guys on the roof armed. I remember that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they said, and They're like, "Oh, you're not leaving. You're not going anywhere." So I called Johnny. Johnny called the admiral. I was the only guy to leave that base that day.
Yeah.
And then I got yelled at the next day for, I guess I put Johnny in that position. I was like, you didn't have to call. You didn't have to
Yeah.
But, oh, man. You were in Buds during 9/11. You got out, graduated Buds.
Yep.
And went to which team?
Initially, Team 2. Yeah, on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then were you in it right away as soon as you got out?
Yeah, we went straight to Iraq. But I actually did a lot of personal security attachment, PSD.
Yeah.
So, like, that whole deployment, I was protecting the Deputy Prime Minister of Iraq and various U.S. dignitaries, never as high as the president.
Brammer?
Yeah, when he came over,
Yeah.
I was not assigned to that detail, but there were times when our details would mix and we would work together. So I wasn't on that detail, though. Yeah.
So, having done 2 details to Iraq myself, you obviously have some time doing details.
Mm-hmm.
What should we talk about next, Zach?
Yeah. And for your listeners, security PSD is that's the acronym, but it means you're protecting a very important person.
Right.
And I know where we're going to go with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's we're within a week of the assassination attempt on Trump. Again, It's one of those things where you're going to know where you were.
Yep.
I was here. I got a text message from Buzz. He said, "Check out the news." And this is a guy who, there's a punchline to everything he says.
Yeah.
He's the guy I bought the drop zone from.
Okay.
And there's a punchline to everything he says. Like, he'll come up to you, hey, you hear this one?
Yeah.
It's either the same one. He has 2. He's got to tell you. One is the same one every time, and one is one you've never heard before. They're still both equally funny, even though I've heard one of them 25,000 times, right? And so he sends me a text message. Turn on the TV. The president, or the former President Trump, just got shot. And right away, I was just like, even for you, like Buzz, like you have some funny, you have a sense of humor, but. And I was thinking, for about 15 seconds, I was waiting for the punchline, and I was like, no, he's serious. He wouldn't joke about that.
Yeah.
Right? That's pretty serious stuff. And I was here. I was here at the drop zone when that happened.
I was in Mexico surfing. I got out.
Yeah.
And my mom, I got a text from my mom. Was like, hey, the president just got shot. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I saw was a picture of
him going down. I was like, ooh, this looks bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it had been enough time where the picture of him, with his fist in the air, blood on his face and stuff was out. And that's the first thing I saw. And I was like, if that's not the greatest campaign picture I have ever seen, like that is something else. So then I had to say, how does this happen?
Well, when I saw that picture, because I've been shot before, I got shot in the chest, and I didn't want to stand up real big after that. I got to say, that bullet bounced through me, and then it worked out. But the next day, I actually was on op the very next night, and I walked right in front of that same house. I remember you kind of get this hunchy down walk, I mean, when I saw him stand up, I was like, dude, that's about as American as it gets.
When I saw it, I was like,
yeah.
I was like, that's freaking gangster right there.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is that it's so polarizing to even discuss him, to talk about him.
He is he's a polarizing
probably
fella. The most polarizing guy I think that we have right now around.
He'll say things. He'll say things. I think in a way, I guess the term that comes to mind for me is he outpunts his coverage a little bit with the things that he
That's
says.
A very perfect metaphor. Yeah, man.
And just like, maybe we shouldn't attack so much. He's attacking things that don't really need attacking. If there's one thing I've learned about life is that if I'm going to go ahead and fight every battle, that means I'm going to take casualties on my resources, be it emotional, mental, maybe financial.
Or you're spending capital.
Whatever.
You're spending emotional capital. Yeah.
Where you need that capital to fight the battles you're supposed to fight, or to take on the obstacle, because you have to take on every obstacle. Go do the O course. See what happens if you don't do every obstacle. You're going to, at the end, you're going to be pretty upset when there's a dude in a blue and gold t-shirt with a bullhorn and a pair of gaiters on, and he's telling you, go hit the surf, and then you're going to come back and you're going to do this again. And your time better be the fastest it had ever been. Now you're all wore out, you're tired. It's just miserable, right?
Yeah.
Well, because he'll take on like anybody that comes at him. Now, to some degree, I can respect that.
Yeah.
There's a degree of just like, I get it. And when everybody's shooting at you, you gotta be thinking on your feet. And so when this happened, I have to honestly say I wasn't super surprised that there was an attempt on his life.
No, but when I found out the setup, I was a little bit surprised.
The setup,
meaning the fact that the guy was within 150 yards of the president.
Yeah.
I mean, haven't done detail work, you send an advance in. And now I have not protected anybody as high up or as important as Trump. I haven't. But you send in an advance. The advance they do the whole area. I mean, they do range cards. They look at any possible site and a high ground within 150 feet of the president. That's a no-brainer. I mean, that's obvious. And, I've looked into, like everybody else, I'm looking into everything that they're saying. And, they say, well, that was a local police response. I'm like, wrong. The local police, that's not their main job. They're like police, and they do protect and defend, and nothing against them. But the Secret Service are the best in the world at keeping people alive. And so if I show up and someone is, less than me on the skill wagon, I'm not going to just assume. I'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to walk you over, give you guys some training, maybe put one of my guys in this most important vantage point. And the fact that wasn't done really smelled bad to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
It has played enough now where pretty much anybody can armchair quarterback this thing.
Okay. Now, armchair quarterback people say that in a bad way. You know what? When you're a pro, you like being armchair quarterback. When you and I roll and you catch me, I'm like, bro, walk me through that. Like, what did I do? Like, oh, right. You know what you did, Jimmy? You stuck your arm out, and like I told you not to. Because you know why? Because I want to get better. I want to get better, and I'm not ashamed of having someone correct me. So if people tell you, don't armchair quarterback me, you weren't there, I'm like, well, how are we going to learn, man? Mm-hmm. How are we going to learn if we don't go over that mistake and we don't be honest with ourselves? And if you made the mistake, it's okay. Let's just not do it next time and learn. So when they say don't armchair quarterback, the first thing that comes to me is like, that's probably an amateur.
Right. So there's that. But what I'm talking about is, you have all these keyboard warriors, armchair quarterback. What are we on? We pointed out something a minute ago. Where are we at on that? 2 minutes. There's all these keyboard warriors out there that have zero tactical experience, no law enforcement experience, no military experience. They haven't even darkened the doorstep of a quarterdeck.
Yeah.
Right. And they're the ones out there like throwing all their stuff out there.
Yeah.
But then you got these dudes that are super qualified that are sitting there going, all right, just take a second. Let's look at this and break it down.
Yeah.
When that's happening inside the Secret Service, which I'm not super confident that we're ever going to know what those meetings and what is the offspring, or what is going to be the
a lot of those dudes are soft dudes, by the way.
Yeah.
They're like legit.
Yeah.
I mean,
so they've come from that. I know a handful of team guys that have gone and done some Secret Service work.
Yep.
So it's going to be a minute until that kind of trickles out into where we are.
Yeah.
But it's going to be super interesting when it does. And I think that we are going to be very surprised at what we find out happened on the inside of the Secret Service details when it does come out.
I don't think we'll ever find out. I think there'll be snippets of truth here and there, but we won't know what they are. I think that's going to be whitewashed behind the political veil, as you brought up earlier, Yeah.
Rules of engagement.
Yeah, so we were talking about this, and actually Zach brought it up, and, people want to get all over that sniper for taking too long to take a shot. And like, well, he was shooting, but before you take a shot, you got to know, hey, I know that, and I know I've been overseas before where it's like, I need to take the shot. Let me just double and triple check that that's not my partner force. I mean, because it's not just them. They have like local police. I want to make sure it's the right guy, because you pull that trigger and you're wrong. I mean,
downrange, after it was behind it.
Yeah, you don't even know. So, I don't fault him. Whoever it was took that shot. I don't know. But man, you got to take that breath. And I know someone's gonna be like, well, they were shooting. Look, you don't know. You don't know if it's one of your guys. It just takes a minute because that is a mistake that you can't get back.
I have had one counter sniper experience, and it was in Colorado. The guy that we were protecting was in a valley, so there was like a lodge kind of in a valley, but going up on both sides was like a mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and my shooting partner were on this side, and we had this other side of the valley to watch. So what we did is we spent the day before basically patrolling both sides. Mm-hmm. The day of, we patrolled both sides. We patrolled the other side of where we were, the opposite of where we were, left a guy there, went, then all we did is just cleaned our side, set up, and then we waited and just hung out, got on comms. That guy can move now, because if he's there, he's around there making noise, someone's probably not moving in the area. He left, then we set up, and then it was from that for 3 hours, maybe 4 hours before the guy even started speaking. We're over there just doing nothing but glassing that whole side of the hill over and over again. And we're having this conversation while we're both on glass. He's got a rangefinder. He's got the binoculars. I'm on the long gun. And I'm sitting there just going, man, what if we see somebody? What do you do when you see somebody?
Yeah.
And I am not a second guess myself kind of guy.
Yeah.
But that's one of the first times that I really came across this. And I was like, what do you do? It's like the only time you can be 100% sure is after someone's already sent one downrange.
That's right. And then it might be too late.
And then now your guy's he's fighting for his own life.
Yeah.
He's fighting a large gaping hole in an organ.
Yeah.
And we're over here pounding some guy into eternity who just did the shot. And so unless you can see it and positively identify that is a target, and that is exactly, this is what is about to happen. If you can have that kind of foresight, see that just by how he's set up, and you can see enough of him where you can identify the kind of weapon he has, where it's aimed, what he's doing, what is he wearing, are there bad intentions on this guy, and then dump him before. And the entire time after you shoot that round, what you're going to spend the next half hour until I can get to him, because it was some really weird ground go down and go back up to him. And then you get over there and you learn it's a 15-year-old kid over there with his airsoft gun. You know, the whole time you're just praying that it's just, you did the right thing.
And, you know, overseas, we have shot the wrong guys before. And it's a weight, man. It's a weight. Twice that I can think of right off the top of my head. And they met the threshold for rules of engagement. Everything was right, but they weren't doing anything wrong.
Zach, do you have the video of that? Because one of the things that I noticed right away is that the guy, the counter sniper that took the shot, he's on the optics, right? And he's looking through. He picks his head up and he looks over there. He goes, through his head, you know, he's thinking, am I seeing this right?
Yeah.
As he's coming back down on the gun, because he's just like, I think that he's coming back down on the gun is when that dude started shooting.
Yeah.
And then he dispatched that guy. But it was.
Yeah. And I don't know what the internal comms were at the time.
Right.
You know. But yeah, that guy's not that far off. Wow.
Yeah, you see him up there. They're setting up.
Yep. So I can tell you something else that actually surprised me about this was I would expect it to have been a drone attack. The way drones are today.
Yeah.
And you're seeing what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. And so when I was, now first of all, why is there not a drone up in the air doing surveillance?
There was zero
stack. A drone
stack.
costs $100, man.
Yeah, there was zero stack above them.
Yeah, I mean, you send that, because I was thinking, well, I mean, a man of Trump's stature deserves like a pred or something. But you need it. You just pop a drone up there, and you got a feed, and a couple people watching the feed, and you can really lock down the whole area. We do it overseas all the time. You know, if we're going on a target assault, I've got a drone locking down the outside of the area. As I move on a target, I push the sensors off to the side to see where I want to see. And that's not a big expense to have the drone coverage. Now, that's the first part of the drone conversation. The second part is like, what is your counter? I don't know what their counter drone plan is. Like, we ran into this in Mosul a lot. We were running that Mosul fight, and, the bad guys had just rigged up. ISIS had rigged up how to drop basically 40 mic and grenades and stuff off of these drones. It was super hard. I mean, you can get a shotgun and try and shoot them out, but those things are fast, you know? So I don't know what the plan is. And I think that to me is the biggest threat. You know, the sniper threat is obviously a threat, but the drone, I mean, someone flies in there with five kids fly those things in there. How are you going to stop those things?
Yeah. Well, in my takeaway from this is I'm watching it, when we're seeing this, like, that's even ballsy in itself and that's where Secret Service is also messing up. It's like, how do you know there's not another shooter in the area? How do you know there's not another attack of some sort coming? Like, it can get a little hairy, but there was zero stack overhead. There was drone at the low level. Next up should be at least an ISR bird of some sort. Yeah. And then above that, of course, you have satellite imagery. That's 3 thick, but you need that when you have a candidate. You need that when there's a candidate, all he's doing is just going out and doing a speech. Well, nowadays, with how polarizing some people are and how divided this nation is, you almost need that because there are warfare tactics being deployed like we just saw.
Yeah.
So there's the drone thing. And I also think that the first ring, they're saying their first ring that they deal with was 100 yards or something like that, right? Well, every time I've done security details, every time you become static, like the nearest ring that you're dealing with is 500 meters. Then there's a second ring that's 1,000 meters. And the reason 1,000 meters is because there are people that can repeatedly tag a head plate at 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
I mean,
we know a lot of them.
Ting, 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do that. Yeah, man. It's like those guys there's dudes out there that, there was a guy in my platoon. Yeah, Rick Wallace. That guy was a freaking, it didn't matter what he was shooting at. He was hitting it. I've never seen anybody shoot like that ever. I'm like, dude, you're not even human. How do you do that?
And there's a lot of other things you could do, just little things. How about a bulletproof podium? How about a little bit of Pope glass on the sides? Instead of walking down the stairs, why not have like a little trap door on the bottom that's full of medical supplies and it's bulletproof? Like it's Kevlar. It's got Kevlar stuff in there. So now, instead of walking them back down that thing, you just push them in that little trap door. I mean, it doesn't seem like that hard of a thing to think about, and I know people say hindsight's 2020. Like, no, these are things that I think you should think about well ahead. And these are the best in the world.
In real time.
The best in the world. I kind of expect you to have those contingencies figured out.
Yeah. And then there's people. I had I always talk about my dads, all these dads I have. I also have a handful of moms.
Yeah.
And one of them is Craig Baker's mom.
Yeah.
Debbie Wells. She's one of my moms, and she's so amazing. But one of my other moms who sent me a video of a woman screaming at Crooks and calling him by name to get off the roof. And it's like, I'm sitting there going, how does she know the name of the dude that's on the roof?
Is that real?
No idea.
We're in the world of AI.
No idea.
That's what I don't know what to believe.
Yeah. No idea.
And I don't want to stoke conspiracy theories. I just don't. But someone needs to be held accountable. That is not debatable. Like, and what I'm seeing right now, especially in the military, the only people that get held accountable are the people that tell someone to hold someone accountable. Remember Stuart Scheller? He's like, hey, this was a mess. Somebody needs to be held accountable. You know who got held accountable? Only him. That's it. And now this was a major mistake. I would expect the head of the Secret Service should step down, or it's just the way it is. You made a huge, glaring mistake.
Massive. And everybody's blaming the local law enforcement, but you got these guys that are over here.
That's not their main job.
Mission.
No.
So it's and to go back to the drone thing.
Oh, super scary.
The way you knock down a drone, you're not going to be able to do it without killing every cell phone in the area, killing every camera, right? It would have to be some kind of a directional EMP. It's really the only way that you're going to be able to kill.
I know there's this thing that you kind of shoot waves at it and it makes it go back to where it came from.
Oh, really?
But it'll still come back. Like, at least the ones I've seen, like you pointed at it and it shoots this thing and it makes it go back, but then it comes back. I mean, a shotgun, but that's a good shot. And if they come in low, what are you going to blast right into the crowd? I don't know.
Yeah. It's just there's so many contingencies that have to be looked at with all these new angles of being able to disruptors, right?
Yeah.
Things that are disruptors tactically. There are so many different things that you have to think about now because all this new stuff is starting to come up.
Thank God this was a 20-year-old kid and not a guy that had some serious training. Yeah. I mean, this is the wake-up call. This is hey, we have to tighten up right now because There are people much more skilled than that kid, much more. And I don't. Now is the time to like fix things.
Yeah.
And this is agnostic of party. I would feel the same way if it was Biden.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like that's our president, man. Like I don't want to speak ill of it. Maybe I don't like all his policies, but I'm not going to speak ill and hatred of a sitting American president. I'm just not.
Right. And when you have operators out there doing, it's like it's when their job is to do the one thing, protect the president.
Yeah.
That means that they have to be perfect every day.
That's right.
And the bad guy, all he has to do is get lucky once.
Now, why do we hold the person on top accountable? Because she wasn't there. Why do we hold them accountable? Because it empowers everybody else to do their job. When you hold the low-level person accountable, I mean, no policy is going to change. Nothing's going to change. You got to hold the people on the top of the organization accountable, and then everything goes down from that. You get someone in there that's like, hey, I'm going to be held accountable. Okay, we're tightening everything up. You hold that guy at the bottom, nothing's going to change the rest of the organization. There's no reason to.
Yeah.
You have got to start at the top. That's what you do. That's what we do in the military. That's what I did. You know, I had a guy I threw a keg party when I took over a troop, and so I got 4 platoons going to Afghanistan. Awesome dude, one of my best dudes. Stays there, gets rolled up, gets an ARI. That's an alcohol-related incident. And he didn't tell me about it. He told his chief, and his chief didn't pass it to me because he was like, well, I just didn't think you needed to know. Because there's no paperwork. Now, by the way, for everybody out there, if you get put in jail, there is paperwork. Police cannot put you in jail. It's not paperwork. But I didn't tell me. So my boss's boss found out, and then it trickled down to me. And my boss pulls me in. He comes up to visit me at Nyland. We're on a land warfare trip, and he's like, hey, what do you want me to do about this? And I looked him in the eye, and I was like, hold me publicly accountable in front of my guys, and I'll do the rest. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about that. You hold me accountable, and I got everything I need to do the rest. And he's like, well, I don't want to ruin your career. I'm like, don't worry about ruining that. That's not even on the docket here. But if you want me to fix everybody, fix my guys, I can fix this problem, but you need to hold me accountable. And he did. He wrote this letter up, popped everybody up in their dress blues at SEAL Team 5, and hammered me right in front of the guys. And
you were ops?
No, there? I was ops there also, but I was when I was a troop commander at Team 5.
Oh, got it.
And when he walked out, I didn't say anything to the guys about it because they saw it. Yeah. And, you know, that dude was a good dude, really good dude, like one of my best guys. And he felt terrible. And I just didn't give him that gift of accountability. I just withheld it. It's cruel. Because had I like tore him up, he would have been like, yeah, I deserve that. But I didn't give him any of it. Yeah. I just let him sit in it. He didn't drink the rest of that workup.
I bet.
And he ended up being the Sailor of the Year. Wow. No kidding. After getting an ARI. And, but you got to hold me accountable because I was the top guy.
Yeah. And
that's what needs to happen with anybody, any leader that has any kind of, client. Maybe she can recover. I don't know. But this whole covering up things has got to stop.
There was a little bit of diversity, equity, inclusion going on in the hiring processes and stuff, and you could tell that when you're watching Secret Service agents not able to find their holsters, and you're able there was just so many little things that you're seeing in there. I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah. And what's really bad about that is like, hey, man, like putting a holster up, like you shouldn't have to look. And
right.
And anyway, and also physically did not look like someone that could do the job. I'm just going to say that, like, because what happens is if you're not physically able, you have to use too much force. Maybe she has to shoot somebody, whereas really someone who is physically prepared can just put them down into the wall. Like, hey, just stop. You can hold. Oh, you know what? We didn't need to give that much force. But when all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. And when you don't have the physical attributes to protect somebody, you're not able to escalate appropriately. You're not able to use escalation of force procedures. You have to go straight to the top, straight to the jugular. And that is a problem. Yeah. Because if you make a mistake, maybe I made a mistake and I pushed you down. You know what? Sorry, I pushed you down. But if I had to like shoot you to make you, because you were giving me the vibe that you were doing the wrong thing, I can't take that bullet back.
Yeah. And that's an amazing segue into the next topic, which is, of course, yours and mine. So one of our favorite sports is Jiu-jitsu. It's like there is something about that. And this was the thing I found most interesting about jiu-jitsu is that with jiu-jitsu, you can control a human. You can hurt a human. You can injure a human. Two different things.
Yep.
But you can kill somebody. Yep. Right? There's this whole escalation of force, to use your term, right? Which is a term, but it's what you just use. Whole escalation of force. That in this whole spectrum is you have a smorgasbord of options at any given time.
Yeah. And
being able just to use that to be able to stay capable, to stay in that lane of, hey, there is I don't necessarily like I used to be the concealed carry guy all the time. Man, for the last probably 7 years. Yeah. Now, you introduce a firearm into any situation, you go from 3, maybe 4 outcomes to 300, maybe 400 different outcomes that could happen just by introducing a firearm into any situation.
399 of them aren't that good. Now, I like to carry. I think I would love to see constitutional carry. I love also. I feel like I do.
It's like you are at a level of being able to shoot, make decisions. You've proven it. You've been in situations where you have to make decisions, life or death, on a split second, and stand by those. Right.
And I've never killed someone I wasn't supposed to.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the guy you want being able to carry it. Now, I'm not against like somebody who just started shooting or maybe have less experience carrying a firearm. I think that everybody needs to be able to protect. They should be able to protect themselves how they see fit. But and I'm a big Second Amendment dude.
Yeah,
big Second Amendment dude.
I am too. It's frustrating. We live in California and it's rough here.
Yeah. But man, when those times where you're not carrying, where you can't carry everything else, you're still capable. Yeah. You still have your mind. You still have your jiu-jitsu. You still have your fight ability.
And the best metaphor is the drunk uncle. You're at a wedding with your family, and the drunk uncle, and you can't go out and shoot him. He's being an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're a boxer, boxing is great. You need to know how to box. You need to know how to. But you don't walk up and punch him. You just ruin the wedding. Yeah. But if you can kind of nudge him into the wall and be like, "Hey there, Uncle Tom, I need you to kind of take it easy here." You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And all of a sudden he feels that this is serious right now. Like. And if you need to do something more, you can like put a little choke on him, put him down, or just kind of lock him. But it's a measured. He only gets what he deserves. Whereas if jiu-jitsu is that's the magic of jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
I heard a rumor about you.
Yeah, that I got my hips replaced and haven't trained in a long time. Yeah. So
past that, I heard a rumor.
Past that.
Yeah. So Chris comes into train the other day.
Yeah.
And he couldn't wait to tell me that he saw you.
Yeah.
At San Diego Harley.
Yeah.
And he was just like, Jimmy said he's coming back. And he would say, again, Craig and I were both standing there. And Craig was like, really? I was like,
yeah.
Jimmy May said he was coming back? I was like, is that right? I'll have to ask him. And he's like, oh, you got to verify? You know?
Yeah. No, I saw him. I walked up to the tattoo shop to say hey to him. You know, we used to train with him a lot.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was like, man, I really miss it. And so my hips are really healing. It's been like a 5-year process. Both my hips have been replaced. It was not a gentle way back. I was really struggling. I've done VHP was awesome. Virginia Heart Performance. They really like straightened out a lot of things for me. And now I can do squats again. I can't quite run yet, but they gave me a program to start running again. And I'm like, well, the guys I'm going to train with the Wolfpack, because I know you guys won't hurt me, unless I deserve it, which sometimes I do.
Well, I'll admit, I get hurt feelings once in a while, mostly because Junior, because he's so insanely good and stupid strong.
Yeah, he picks on you,
and he finds things that you're weak at, and he just keeps on.
I've mornings I've been like, let go of my sleeve, Junior.
Yeah, exactly.
Just let go of my sleeve.
Can we do something besides spider guard today?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then there's Morgan, who's he's just so well rounded, just at everything. He's like, oh yeah, I know how to handle that situation. Oh, I know how to handle that situation. Oh, hey, great armbar, Bram, you got me. Oh, I'm like, thanks for letting me work on that. And he's like, no, dude, that was legit. You got that.
I know.
I was like, I'm not 5, Morgan. Like, I know what's going on here.
He does it to me too. I know, man. But yeah, I think I'm about ready to get back in the gym.
Good.
I've missed it. I missed it a lot. But my only fear is like if one of these things pops out wrong, because I want to be fully healed. I've got a second chance at being a dad. My first two kids, I was gone 300 days a year. I wasn't there. I've got great relationships with them now as they're adults, but I have a chance to be a dad. And the other day I got to run on the rugby pitch with my son for the first time, and I'm like, I didn't even notice it. He's like, "Dad, you're running." I'm like, "I know, right?" And he's like, "Let's run." And we just like ran around and like tossed the ball around, and it's really cool to start to get that back. And so I'm worried about losing it, but I know you guys will watch me. It's just with the way you do jiu-jitsu, good jiu-jitsu, is you take the joint out of strength. And so like what'll happen is it's your habit. You're going to move my leg off to the side, and that's like when it's likely to be more popped out of joint. So, I'm not sure how to go about training that, but I'm sure Morgan knows.
Yeah, it's
and Craig.
Morgan, Craig, especially, Craig has gotten insanely strong lately.
Yeah.
Like, next time when you see him, you'll look at him and be like, what? Oh, yeah, he's been lifting, eating clean.
What?
Everything else, yeah.
Oh, man.
That's scary. He's starting to.
He was scary as little butterball.
I know. Short, little chubby little guy. Now
I just called him a butterball.
Dude, now he's all like,
he's gonna. I'll pay for that for sure.
He won't know. He won't see it.
Never.
Oh, you know who's gonna see this? His mom.
Oh yeah.
Mom, we're making fun of Craig.
Yeah.
Don't tell him.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
But one of my favorites little people on this planet is your Riker.
Little fella. Yeah, man. He's something else.
Is all go. I wanted to have you tell the story about when you guys went camping with the friends for his 10th birthday.
Oh my gosh, dude! So I felt really bad about this, but so last month,
this Zach, we were just talking about it in my office.
Last month I took him camping for his 10th birthday, and he wanted to go camping with all his little buddies. So he has like 5 other little dudes, so 6 10-year-olds running around the woods with Nerf guns, and like they're having a great time, and they want to sleep in the tent by themselves. I'm like, okay. And I don't want to sleep in that tent with like 6 grubby kids jumping around. I'm like, hey, I've got the van. I got the Sprinter. I'm like, I'm going to sleep in the van. I'm like, Riker, if you're going to stay out, you need to stay the whole night. Don't come back in that van. What are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to stay the whole night. I'm like, okay, got it. So I go back in the van. And then during the night, all the other 5 boys get scared and go to sleep with either their dads or in the truck. You know what I mean? So he's by himself in that tent, scared and cold, and would not come. He wouldn't come to get me. So in the morning, I'm like, he's like, I had to sleep it off. I'm like, Dad, I was so scared, so cold. I was like, why didn't you come to the van? He's like, you told me that I couldn't. I was like, oh my God. He's like a little soldier. He's like, hey, he's like, okay. I said I wouldn't do it. I told my dad I wouldn't do it, and he didn't. And I felt terrible. I felt like a jerk. Because I was like, bro, you're always welcome where I am at any time. And so I apologized to him. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, because part of this is teaching him how to be a man, which is own your mistakes. I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. I was wrong. Please forgive me. And he's like, we're good, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And we haven't brought it up since, but that just happened.
You hit all 3 right there. I've told my boys since they were little, if you go up to them and say to my boys, Mike and Sam, they're right out there.
Yeah.
What are the 3 most powerful things you can say to any other human being? They'll say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, and will you forgive me? And in that order. Yeah. And so and I have said that to my own boys so many times. There's something in the power of humility to be able to go to your kids and say, I overreacted. I said something I shouldn't have. I did something I shouldn't have. I overreacted. I should have said this, but instead I said that, and I'm sorry, I was wrong. Will you forgive me? Watching them respond to that.
Yeah.
Because they take that on. They see a vulnerable side of Dad. And when they see the vulnerable side of Dad, your
kids are still scared of you, though.
they kind of look at you for a second, especially when they see how authentic and how real you're being.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful tool for them to develop, but for us to develop as dads.
Yeah.
My favorite part about that entire story is that you went to Riker and you were just like, sorry, man, then I was wrong. Forgive me for that.
Yeah.
That's strong.
Yeah, and he just took it like a boss too. He's like, yeah, it's okay, Dad. So he hasn't brought it up, but I definitely felt pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things is just being a dad. Next to being a husband, being a dad is a job that I probably take the most serious. And when the kids, they like to test the limits.
Oh yeah.
They like to see where the line is. And
Yeah.
They do kids stuff.
Because we never did that when we were young.
I mean, I don't know where they would.
I don't know where they get it. Probably their mothers.
I think yes, yes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And but still the development of them, watching them turn into men, like Landry, right? Watching Landry do man stuff right now is super cool.
He's in Africa right now, saved his own money, bought his own tickets, doing an internship. I talked to him this morning. He's like, yeah, I darted 3 sable and 13 wildebeest this morning, and we treated him and moved him to another place. I'm like, dang, bro, like that's pretty cool stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And now he's setting up because Riker and I are headed over there on Sunday, and we're going to link up with him, and I'm going to bring my spear guns. I think we're going to go to Mozambique, and that's about all the plan we got. We're just going to drive around Africa with spear guns and check out some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to be around a coast, I assume, if you're going to be spearfishing.
Yeah, Mozambique's on the coast, so we're gonna jump up there first. But I know both my boys are enamored with the animals and the fauna there. So we did Kruger National Park last year. I think we're gonna find something like that this year. But Landry's been over there for a bit, so I'm sure he'll figure something else out. Yeah.
And then there's your daughter, who is the only person I've ever met that has called me and said, "Hey, Bram, can you come help me out? My car is in a tree."
I was on deployment when that happened. I got a phone call. I'm like, "What?" I was not happy, man.
How did your car end up in a tree?
Yeah.
She's like, it was a water bottle. I was trying to reach my water bottle. I'm like, or texting or calling. Or
she's sticking to that story, by the way.
Yeah. She was like, I was not driving distracted. I was like, I have a hard time believing that you're going to put your car in a tree I have no idea how she did that.
Bro, she's crushing medical school right now. She's doing great. She's doing great. So really proud of her. I got to talk to her yesterday too. So, but thank you. Cause I know I tactically installed her here working with you at the drop zone.
Yes.
Before I deployed. And I was like, yeah.
When she walked in in Manifest, look, I think Vonnie came back and said, "Hey, McKenna's here." So I walked out there. I took one look at her. I was like,
oh no.
I'll be right back, McKenna. I walked out in the barn, grabbed all the instructors. So I was just like, the new Manifest girl, don't even look at her. Don't talk to her. Nothing. That one, she's mine. You will leave her alone. And they, for the most part, except for one dude.
I know that dude. Yeah.
And I would walk up behind McKenna because she has all that hair, right?
Yeah.
I would just.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Gotta go," and he would leave so fast it'd be like that cartoon cavitation would fall.
The dust of smoke shaped like him is still there. Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
So, and I know she would talk to you, and she's like, "It was so weird. It's like I'll be talking to one of the guys, and all of a sudden he runs away. And I turn around, Bram's standing right there." And
I know she loves you. I think you sent me a video. I don't know if she did, but you had her doing push-ups here.
Yeah.
You sent me a video when I was overseas.
Yeah. I was like, what did you just say, McKenna? And she said it again. And I was just like, drop down. I was like, wait a second. I got to trust your dad. I'm like, push down,
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. Dude, if there's one thing I could talk about for hours and hours and hours, is babies. The babies that is our job to turn them into functioning, high-functioning, contributing members of society.
Yeah.
The ones that are like, they're not doing this. Like, you put something in my hand, like, the ones that like, hey, I got
not victims. They accept the situation and make it work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have the solution to that problem. That one thing that thing you can't identify. Yeah, I identified it. I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah.
And it's through it, and I would get in trouble sometimes. Not in trouble. I would have people look at me sometimes because I can't let this go. The little things that they'll do sometimes because they're like, I'm in public now. Dad's not going to say anything about it. Mm. Yeah, they've been in the produce section of Vaughn's doing push-ups, and by the time they get done doing them, I'm 4 aisles over. All of a sudden, I hear applause coming from the produce section because the kids. I'll tell them like, get to 100, you can self-recover. And I'm 4 aisles over. I hear some applause. Then Micah and Sam come over and like, we kind of drew a crowd. You know? What's another one is that it's, Sam said something one day. He's like, Dad, you can probably go to jail for the stuff you do to us in public. I was like push-ups? And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's not really socially accepted right now. I'm like, well, then call the police. It's going to take them. That's going to be the longest 5 minutes of your life for them waiting for them to hit.
We're in California. There's a lot bigger problems they got to solve than a dad making a kid do push-ups.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I remember one day we got on a plane, and I think we were in Nashville, and we had a direct flight. Was it Nashville? I don't know where we were coming from, but I had all the boys. I had the whole family with me, and so Robin and Annie and I are on one side, and Micah and Sam are on the other. So we're all in a row, and there's still a window seat. This dude comes down, and I was just like, team guy.
Yeah.
You know how you could see him, spot him a mile away. They could be in normal clothes, just walking out, you're like, probably a team guy.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, excuse me, gents. And he scoots in there to his seat, puts his headphones on, doesn't say a word, nothing, and he's every once in a while, I could just watch him. He's got headphones on, but he has his essays there.
Yeah, he's paying attention.
So we land, and right about then, the boys start bickering about something. And I was like, hey, listen, as soon as you clear the jetway, drop down face west. I want you to start pushing them out. I'll be along in a second. So the boys, they leave. This guy, the guy by the window, the team guy, he's right behind him. I start walking out, and Robin's like, I got Annie. You go deal with the boys. So this guy's probably 10, 15 feet in front of me, walking up the jetway. Micah and Sam, they got out of the jetway. They're doing push-ups. This dude walks by them. His backpack, hold on to his backpack straps. He's got his hat jammed down, got his gaiters on there, and he's just walked by. He just doesn't even look at the boys. He's like, all the way up, all the way down. And just keeps on walking. And I come out, and I hear that, and I'm looking at the guy, and I look at Sam, and Sam's like, seriously? Like,
Yep.
It's a tribe, and it's one of the things that it's one of my favorite things about a drive. I didn't teach my boys how to drive a stick shift. Johnny did that.
No.
I taught my boys how to shoot. Somebody else taught my boys how to skydive at 16 years old. And as a secure dad, there's certain things I'm like, that's mine. Like teaching them how to cook, teaching them how to barbecue, teaching them how to do stuff like that. Yeah, that's my job. Teaching them how to be capable. That's my job. Teaching them how to make decisions, teaching them how to handle adversity. That's my job. But there's every once in a while a guy comes up and is like, hey, mind if I take the boys out and I go do this with them? I'm never going to say no.
Yeah.
And the boys will sometimes come to me and they'll say, hey, I talked to you about it. The boys, both of them, Micah and Sam both said, hey, can we go with Jimmy? Can we go? Think you'll take us spearfishing? I was like, you kidding me? He would love to do that.
It's time now.
Yeah.
We need to get some on the books.
And so I was like, yeah, ask them. And they couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to have that conversation with you. I'm not taking them spearfishing. That's something that you're going to do with.
Yeah.
I am all in for that. I have met dads where they say, oh, no, I don't let anybody else teach my kids. It's like there are dudes out there who can't wait to share with your boys something that is going to add a tool to their tool belt, that when that tool is in there, it is in there for life. And if they just listen to you, they will never become better than you. Yeah. They only are going to get the tools that you're able to give them. I want my boys to be, orders of magnitude better than me. And there are so many men out there that are better at things than I am. And that is by design.
Yeah.
So if I can expose my young men to these things, like I don't know anybody that knows videography, editing, photography better than Zach. I just don't. Sam has an interest in that. Mm-hmm. Sam will ask me questions about it. I'm like, that is not a dad question. That is a Zach question.
Yeah.
So he calls and he asks Zach. And I have these men strategically placed all around me that when my boys start asking the questions, I know exactly who to plug them into.
Yeah.
Dads struggle with security. And there is something about having that security in your heart that your relationship with your kids is on point, that you know that it doesn't matter where they go and who they learn from, they're still going to come to you and say, hey, Dad, want to see what I learned today? And when you're stoked as they are, that's a powerful tool.
Yeah. I mean, my older son's learning from a vet over there. And I've never darted a freaking wildebeest from a helicopter. Like, that's pretty awesome, man. I'm like, dude. So
how much does that round cost if you're hiding right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, but he's having a blast over there. So it's really I found this vet through it. So I did I work at different school. I worked at MIT and I was doing some work there. And one of the guys in the audience was like, hey man, he's like, can you I have a place in South Africa. He and I hit it off. He's awesome. His name is Peter. Really cool dude. And he's like, yeah, I'll set up an internship for your son. So last year we went over, did a couple of days. My son loved it. And now he's over there learning from this guy. He's absolutely loves him. The guy's a spear fisherman too. And just kind of cool. I don't have any of those skills to give my son. He's beyond what I can do. And now I've found, I don't know him very well, but my son's got he's got the right left and right limits. I don't have to worry about him making decisions. He does. And I gotta give props to his mom, because I was gone 3-hour days a year when he was growing up, but he's got the beacon on the right path.
Yeah. Man. How can people find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, just Jimmy May. And then, of course, I've got a nonprofit called Beyond the Brotherhood. It's beyondthebrotherhood.org, which you may have heard of it.
I may have heard of it.
You may have heard of it, yeah.
Tell me about it, though.
You were actually on my board for a while.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Beyond the Brotherhood, what are we doing?
Yeah, so Beyond the Brotherhood, for those of you who don't know, the SEAL teams have got a really big suicide problem when guys get out. It's really big. Within 4 months of my retirement, 4 of my friends died by their own hand, and it's a big deal. Yeah, one of them was at my retirement. Remember, he was up on Monday. Yep. So really, and I was just beside myself. Like, what do we do? And our share of the task at Beyond the Brotherhood is to build community, purpose, and goals for these guys, and get America's greatest warriors back into society and reintegrate them. And it's been a journey. I was supposed to take in, remember, like 3 to 5 people, and the first year I took in 20. And then you guys shut me down. You had to shut down admissions because I'm like, hey, we don't have the processes so we shut down for 2 quarters. We built our processes. We built up our coffers, and now we've reopened. I've got 20 guys in the hopper right now. It is a huge demand. Great guys. We're looking for partners. We're looking for donors. We're looking for people that want to, be mentors to these guys.
Yeah.
So Beyond the Brotherhood is good for my soul. Yeah. And we're super careful. We'll open our books to anybody. We're super careful with everything we do. My salary is $60K. You guys approved me for $150, and I didn't take it. I'm like, nope. This is donor money. This is for the guys. This is what we need to do. And I'm just really pleased where we're going. We've got a lot of momentum, a lot of great partners. And, if people want to get involved in Beyond the Brotherhood and you have a skill to offer, would love to see people get involved. So it's beyondthebrotherhood.org.
So if somebody wants to be if they want to be a donor, if they want to be a sponsor, if they want to be a partner, if they want to whatever face you want to put on that.
Yep.
www.beyondthebrotherhood.org.
Yep.
We'll take you to the website.
Yep.
There's a contact us.
There's a button there. It says info@beyondthebrotherhood.org. That goes to me and it goes to Sean, but Sean.
Yep.
And we'll get right back to you. And whatever you have skills to offer to get involved, please do it. Love to see it.
Yes.
Yeah. These are good people. We screen them for character. We're not taking, that's another thing about the people that kill themselves. It's usually the really good guys, and that's not cliche, because it's guys that think about what happened, think about the actions, and they kind of get in this downward spiral. For me, it was, I was on every NSAID you could imagine because my hips were hurting so bad, started dabbling in opiates, and I was on that downward spiral. And luckily, I found Everspan Life, pulled me out of that. I'm off everything now. And that's one of the pillars of our program is getting people on a healthy trajectory again. Yeah. And, we try to get people completely off the drugs and stuff. But when you're beat up, like our guys are beat up, you're shot, you got metal holding your skeleton together. It's going to take a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know Craig Baker's looking forward to seeing you because Chris did say that. So in front of Craig, so Craig was just like, "Bring Jimmy back. Let's do this." So he's pretty excited to see you, and I'm stoked. I mean, coming back on the mats, I get to roll with Jimmy again. I mean, you kidding me?
I'm not what I used to be, so we'll see.
Well, we'll take care of your hips. We'll take care of your hips, and and Wade is still there. So
I'm ready to wade through Lake Bramstead again.
Lake Bramstead. There is Lake Bramstead is a thing. It's becoming deeper and swampier every week.
Yeah.
Yes, I sweat a lot. For those of you that are trying to figure out what Lake Bramstead is.
He leads the league in sweating.
Yes, that's great. That's crazy. Good. So email to the website. www.beyondthebrotherhood.org. Go to info@beyondthebrotherhood.org. It goes to him.
Yep.
Contact him. Hit him up. If you or somebody you know wants to get behind Beyond the Brotherhood, let me tell you something. I have been on the inside of this organization for the longest time, since its infancy. And I can honestly say that what Jimmy is talking about is 100% true. And I am the biggest skeptic of nonprofits. I'm the guy that looks at nonprofits and I'm like, I don't know. It's like there's ways of being able to gauge nonprofits. Do they do what they're actually designed and supposed to do? And there's a lot of them out there that don't. A lot of them raise money so that they can have money to raise more money. They can have money to raise more money, and just endless cycle. What happens with Beyond the Brotherhood is when funds come in, when partnerships come in, when sponsors come in, right away they're going to have an event so they can have these guys, these young, hard driving team guys that just come out that are eyes wide open as to what is in front of them now, because this is a whole new world for them. It's like when someone graduates high school, they're stepping out into the world. They have no idea. These are guys who are some of the most capable humans ever to walk this planet, and when they step out, all of a sudden all of that cover that they've had for a long time is no longer there. Now they're stepping out and having still to provide and protect their families, and now they feel exposed. And this is where they still have that brotherhood. That's where the name comes from. Beyond that brotherhood that we had in the military, now they're stepping out. Well, they still have it. And through guys like Jimmy and what they're doing, this is super key. So if you have a few bucks laying around, you can slide in there to help these guys. Or if you have somebody that has a company that wants to partnership or get behind what they're doing with Beyond the Brotherhood, do not hesitate to do it. I'm telling you right now, I'm endorsing it. I'm telling you that this is legit, and I'm the guy who normally doesn't do that. So. Jimmy, thanks for being here with us and hanging out with me.
Yeah, man.
It's awesome.
Anytime.
What didn't we talk about? We kind of covered it. I know Zach was looking forward to it as well. But, yeah, thanks for being here. I love you, man.
Appreciate you. Love you too, brother.
And I can't wait until you're back on the mats. And I think that now that you're back on the mats, I think we need to do another session in the garage. Get the whole crew together and go do it.
Do it. Yeah, man.
Yep.
Sure.
Do get Morgan and Junior.
The COVID garage.
The COVID garage where we did our COVID. It was what was it? It was a anti-social distancing demonstration. Not only are we going to not social distance, we're going to do the opposite of social distance.
Yeah, San Diego was ridiculous. California was ridiculous about their COVID stuff.
Yeah, and
a little too much.
We went right by all the rules, and it was amazing. Anyway, thanks again for being here. For those of you on the other side of that screen, thanks for watching. I'm appreciating you guys being here, and remember this: when we talk about things like what happened to former President Trump and stuff, that's just us speculating. It's us using some of our experience as military members and operators, and taking some of that and just peppering some of that on there and looking at things through our perspective. You just get to look into our brains and see kind of how we look at something. It's not there for you to judge or whatever and take that as is now your opinion. That's just us just talking because we have some experience in this arena. But do want your comments, because those are going to be fantastic. So go ahead and drop all the comments you want down below. And if you're one of those dudes that likes to hide behind your keyboard and like you can't wait until you see something that you see online and then comment on it, we want your comments too. And then, but stand by. I hope you have thick skin and hope your feelers are not super easy hurt, because there's some people that watch this that are kind of where we come from and they might bury you. So hopefully you got your ducks in order if you're going to go ahead and put some BS down below. But don't let that stop you. We want you to do it. So anyway, BramRadio, stay dangerous.